What's up? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here and being subbed. If you're not, hit the button, and if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this holy mess.
Have you ever been swallowed? Swallowed. I would have been. Have you ever been swallowed? Swallowed. Swallowed up. 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 Have you ever been swallowed? Swallowed. Swallowed up.
What is up, guys? So listen, I was encouraged, influenced in a way, because I really have no desire to listen to Larry Reid. He is just disgusting to me. But one of my subscribers reached out and said, you really need to listen to it, because when I gave my commentary before, I gave it based off of a clip and also based off of my views of Larry Reid. And just the clip that I heard, to me, I just felt like, and just based on what I know from what was going on earlier this year, that I felt like Larry Reid was doing a whole lot when it came to Bishop tdjakes. And why was that happening? What was the point of it all? And so I gave my commentary based off of those things. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to give my reaction to a part of this because I didn't listen to the entirety of it. And honestly, I really couldn't, because after the part that I listened to, I was so angry and disgusted. I said, what are people not listening to? Like, it's like people hear, but they don't listen. And if you listened to this, there's no way you would even be coming out here putting the focus on Bishop tdjakes. I'm not saying that Bishop tdjakes didn't do anything to this guy or didn't make him feel some type of way. None of us will ever really know that unless we were there. All we can do is listen to him and either take his word for it or reject it. I don't really care either way if something did happen, and I'll tell you why. Because this person is someone that has been convicted of being an S offender, of someone underage, and the person that is interviewing him, although not convicted, has been accused of doing the same thing. So I'm going to give my reaction to a part of this because I'm telling you, this is a trip.
Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Duane Youngblood. And it's so good to have you here.
Yes, sir.
Duane, and let me tell you why. And you was in the green room, so you heard me. It's because it's so bold.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't never seen this. I've never seen someone who was abused become an abuser. I've seen that a lot. But
you are an experienced person in that area. I would say Larry Reid, because based upon what Lavontre Andrews has said, and I have the right to believe him, and I do believe him, you're in that same category. But go off.
Turn around and become an advocate.
Yeah.
It's powerful. And may God continue to be with you and strengthen you as you are walking every aspect of this out, because you're just now getting out of jail. Is that correct?
Yes. I've had a few experiences with that in my process, which I'll gladly talk about. But yes, I was in prison for a violation of a probation and parole. And so I had to spend 9 more months in there. And so I've been released from that just in the last few months. So yes.
So, Duane, you said for a violation of parole. How did you violate the parole?
Well, here's something in the whole entire process. I'm in the state of Pennsylvania. When you are convicted and you serve time, you can go see the parole board and they make a decision. The parole board paroled me on my minimum. But then there are various stipulations that you have to go through in order to stay on the streets. One of the stipulations that I had, among the many that I had something to do with not having any communication conversation with various individuals. And one person reached out to my secretary with a long story, very grievous, painful story. I listened to the story, should not have listened to it. It was part of my upbringing to put other people ahead of myself. And by doing that and keeping it from them in the conditions that I have to take polygraph tests. So in taking a polygraph test, this came up. And so this is a reason for a violation. Now, I'm grateful because it was also part of my entire process of getting over the way in which I had been doing things as far as prioritizing other people over myself, therefore not being able to help anybody.
All right, I want to pause it right there for a moment because before we continue, just catch what he said right there. He said he was raised to put other people before himself, and he was arrested for a parole violation for having what he says was communications. He was prohibited from having communications with particular people. You see how he said that? I don't know thankfully, I don't know anything about that system, but I don't believe that the criminal justice system would lay it out that way. I believe they would have laid it out in a way of minors or something along those lines, not saying having communications with particular people. So you get that he didn't go there to say, I was involved with or communicating with a minor and I was barred from doing that based upon my parole, my probation. So the way he laid it out, he was dressing it up. I don't know if you caught that, but I just wanted to point that out before we continue.
So the violation was just communicating with someone you weren't supposed to
Absolutely. Right.
And you heard Larry Reid. So the violation was just communicating with someone that you weren't supposed to with.
So
Right.
what was the stipulation they... Okay, first of all, tell me what was the crime you was convicted of?
Yes. So in 2006, I was arrested for a SA charge from something that happened in 2002. So on October 31st, 2002, I, as a pastor, was counseling someone who was a member of my congregation, underage individual.
How old were they?
Pausing. October the 31st, 2002. So isn't the church supposed to be having their Hallelujah Fest or whatever, like the opposite of Halloween, when they have the kids over to the church so the kids don't have to go out and do the devil's bidding, they call it. So they say, okay, we're going to have a Hallelujah Fest or whatever they, call it at the church on Halloween. He said October 31st, 2002. Think about that.
Say 15.
Okay.
15 years of age.
15 years old.
At the time, crossed the line. This was a 15-year-old male. Crossed the line with the individual. This was a sadly 15-minute destructive experience in my life and their life. That was 2002.
Did you catch that? It was a 15-minute destructive experience. First of all, unless you're Diddy, who's having sex for hours anyway? So usually all it takes is a few minutes for you to commit a crime. So for him to act like, oh, it was just 15 minutes and it ruined my life. Yeah, a lot of people have that same story. They was bumping uglies with somebody for 5 minutes, wound up getting pregnant with the wrong person, and now it ruined their life because they have to deal with that person until the child is 18. Like, what are you talking about?
October of 2002. This thing went back and forth for several years. And in 2006, I was arrested on this particular charge.
He keeps dressing it up. This thing went back and forth. This thing, not saying I was screwing this boy, this minor, this child, someone that came to me allegedly for counsel and support. This is disgusting.
And at the time of my arrest, I was given 7 years probation and 1 year house arrest. In the 7th year of that, I was then charged with a corruption of minors because I had conversation with an individual who was sharing with me things that they were going through and things of that nature, but they were also underage, and I was not to have that conversation.
How old were they?
They were 17 at the time. So having that conversation triggered the stipulation that gave the judge the ability to revoke my street time. So my street time was revoked, and they then sentenced me under the original guideline for SA, which in Pennsylvania was 5 to 10 years.
So he was just having a conversation. And listen, I'm not saying just a conversation, but I'm saying this was someone that he had sexual contact with, I believe. Ugh.
2014, I began serving a 5 to 10 year sentence for what happened in 2002.
Now, when you said 15 minutes in 2002, so
yes.
what? I mean, I can do a lot of things in 15 minutes.
Did you hear Larry Reid? Which, I mean, that's true for most people. You can do a lot of things in 15 minutes, but for him to interject himself in there, I can do a lot of things in 15 minutes. Yeah, I'm sure you have, especially when you had that church. Remember what Levante said? But go ahead.
What happened?
Okay.
And he's laughing about it. The guy, Duane, he's laughing about it when Larry said that. When Larry said, I could do a lot of things in 15 minutes, and the guy, Duane, he's laughing about it.
So what transpired was, and this was a complete bad setup. So I received information from a lady in our congregation telling me that her son had written in his journal, and writing in his journal, he was writing about doing things inappropriate with another person. She brought the journal. She asked if I would talk. Inwardly, when she told me, I knew this is a conversation I did not need to have. But as we do when you are carrying poison, what I did was that particular day, I sent my secretary home.
Did he say carrying poison or caring poison?
Early, so that this was also crazy. This was a Bible class night in my church. And so this meeting is happening just a half hour before my Bible studies to start. The person comes into my office. We're having the conversation. I speak to them about making a decision whether they want it to be homosexual or not homosexual.
Hold up. The woman in his church brought the knowledge to this man that her son, who was 17, was writing in a journal about feelings he was having. So he meets with the boy and asks him if he wants to be gay or not. Huh?
And then really just leading this person down the path of the poison. Ultimately, they acknowledged that they did want to be homosexual. And from that, it led to me saying to them, well, you know what, you can step back into the back office. They stepped back into the back office. And in the back office, we had mutual touching of one another.
Oh my God. Do you hear that? He says that he has the conversation with the guy to say, do you want to be gay? Or do you want to be straight? Or do you want to be bi? I don't know what the conversation, the words were. And he said the boy, the woman's son, this woman that entrusted her son to be counseled by this so-called pastor, he's pretty much admitting that he was grooming the child. I don't care if the state that they were in, the child at 17 was considered an adult. I don't know if that was the case or not. But he's pretty much admitting that he groomed the child, and he was supposed to have a conversation with him. So the woman's son says, yeah, I think I want to go there. I think I want to be gay. So then he says, okay, well, let's step into my back office and let's try this out. What? What in the entire world? That is so disgusting. I don't care if this was a girl and he was a man and the girl said, you know, I'm having feelings and whatever, but I don't know if I want to explore it. And he's like, okay, step in my back office. Let's try it out. That is disgusting. Oh my God. Why aren't people talking about this? Why are people even making it about Bishop T.D. Jakes, which is what I said before? I didn't even listen to all of this. Wow.
That absolutely was a crime, and it was the wrong thing for me to have done.
I'm sorry to ask you a question, but I want to really understand. So, you already was told about this person in your ministry who, and that's another thing. You was a pastor, and you had been pastoring for many years. So it's your nature to get into these type conversations all the time.
I don't know about you guys, but is that normal? I went to churches when I was growing up. I don't ever recall having a conversation about sex with any pastor. So for Larry Reid to sit there to say, you know, well, you are the pastor, so it's normal for you to get into those types of conversations. That's not normal. Don't try to normalize it. Don't try to justify it, because we know that Larry Reid talked about his conversations that he had with Levontre and the different things that Levontre so-called expressed to him and whatever, and the things that they did. That is not typical. That is not normal. Stop trying to normalize that. It's not normal. I'm not saying that sex should be just a complete taboo subject when it comes to people who go to church or who believe in God, because it shouldn't be like that either. But there's a time and place for everything. And I don't believe that that is normal for especially children to be having conversations with the pastor about sex. That is gross. And then you all have experiences having sex. I'm not going to say sleeping with, having sex with these children, whether they were under the legal age or not. That's not normal. It's not typical. Stop trying to normalize that. It's not normal.
But had you had a situation like this before with somebody that was same gender loving, wanted to be free, wanted to be delivered, or was exploring and trying to figure out? You've talked to them before?
No, in my history, I didn't have many conversations with people who wanted to be free and whatnot. My experience was more along the lines of knowing people, meeting people, talking to people. Very rarely was someone in my congregation saying that they were same gender loving and they wanted to be free. The game that I was a very serious participant in was you knew who people were and you knew what people were doing, and if you wanted to do it, that was what you did, keeping it secretly. These two words that I love now, secret or secret or private. I was trained in secret it was to be secret. And in secret, there were things that you just did. And it had nothing to do with trying to help someone navigate. In 2002, I was nowhere near trying to help anyone navigate in any way, shape, or form in a healthy direction as it related to their sexual identity or sexuality, because I hadn't even considered what was going on in my own life.
Okay. Thank you. And I hope you don't feel like I'm asking too many questions.
Oh, ask whatever you choose.
Yes, because I have to understand. And that made me understand. So here you are inwardly already being same gender loving on some level, bisexual something. And it's a secret. And it's just what you do with those that know up in the, because you're in that church world, so I get that. And then this 15-year-old wants to come and tell you, and the parent had already told you. So for those who feel like, okay, you took an opportunity.
So Larry said 15, and here I was saying 17. So it gets even worse.
I'm playing a devil's advocate. And you took an opportunity when you given secret information that was in somebody's journal. And now they're coming to you, and in the same conversation to help, y'all touching on each other. How does it get to that?
Oh, honestly, the sadness of it, again, very short conversation. Most of what is going on in my life in 2002 and prior to that is on autopilot. It is not even something that I've got to do a lot of planning and thinking. I have learned how to express the need that I have for male love and male attention very secretly without ever having to go through some deep planning. The sad part for me, considering that time of my life, was how much this was on autopilot. And so there wasn't a lot to consider at the time in 2002, because, again, this was simply me going with what felt right at the time, which was the norm for me at that time.
So there really wasn't a lot of thought about it, because it was just when it came to that type of exchange, that's the way it went. Now, let me say this. I understand that. I know that from experience.
I'm sure you do. I'm not even going to play any more of this, guys. If you want to go check it out, you can go to Larry Reid's channel to listen to the entire interview. It's over 2 hours long, and that's a long time to listen to him. I can't do it. But just that alone, I'm not here to say that Bishop T.D. Jakes and this guy did not have some type of involvement years ago. It is quite possible. And he labeled or titled the video, "The Abused Becomes the Abuser." And both of their pictures are in the thumbnail. This Duane reading guy and Larry Reid. So it's like he could be talking about the both of them, right? That's the ironic thing about it. But even if T.D. Jakes did some stuff to him, like I said, it doesn't make it all right. It doesn't make it okay for him to do what he did. And he served time for it. T.D. Jakes ain't gone to jail for nothing. Some people feel like he should be there based on some stuff, but I don't know. Until anything happens, that's all I can do is talk about speculation. But there's facts. There's facts about this guy, and the facts of just what he shared, even though he tried to dress it up and make it sound a little bit more clean. No, dude, you groomed this child that was in your church. You manipulated. You was doing the do with a child in your church, and you went to prison for it. You got sentenced, you had probation, and you went to jail for probation violations. Like, no, dude, don't come out here talking about T.D. Jakes. Don't come in here trying to flip it and make it about him. I can't with this. I can't. Bishop T.D. Jakes could very well have groomed some people before, and we just don't know about it, and this guy is sharing the story of what happened to him. It is possible. But he's just not the right person to come out here and talk about that based on just recently what has happened in his life, and he's trying to dress it up and make it seem a little bit more clean, and it's just not clean. It's gross. And I don't know what is going on for people to not catch that, because when I see Bishop T.D. Jakes wrapped up in this situation and you got all this other stuff going on, you don't even need to utter his name. And I'm not even a Bishop T.D. Jakes follower or fan. I'm not here to advocate for him. I'm not one of those people that goes to people's videos that have commentary about Bishop T.D. Jakes and windmill for him, because I really could care less. But this right here ain't it. And I just don't know what people are thinking when it comes to that, because I guess it's popular and it's good for the algorithm to put Bishop T.D. Jakes' name up in there, because nobody really knows who this guy is. But this right here is just nasty. It's really nasty. And when Larry Reid kept trying to put the grooming label on T.D. Jakes earlier this year when it came to Manasseh Jordan, and still nothing has materialized from that, I'm just not here for it. Yeah, the clowning of the swallowed up and, power bottom jokes and whatever, it's funny. It's funny. But this, I'm just not here for this at all. You let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.